The world feels borderless, digital, instant. We believe power is invisible, but look closer. The entire global economy is forced to squeeze through 10 narrow keyholes. These are the choke points. Control them, and you control the world. Lose them, and you die. A choke point is a geographic funnel, a place where terrain forces strategy into a single, vulnerable line. We begin at number 10, a flat stretch of farmland that NATO planners call the most dangerous place on Earth. It looks like nothing, just 65 miles of fields between Poland and Lithuania. But this is the only land route connecting the Baltic states to the rest of NATO. To the west, the Russian fortress of Kaliningrad. To the east, Putin's ally, Belarus. If Russia closes this gap, 3 NATO nations are instantly cut off from help. Siege warfare begins. From the freezing plains of Europe, we move to the humid, congested artery of the Asian century, the Strait of Malacca, the busiest shipping lane in human history, the throat of the global economy. 40% of the world's trade passes through this channel, including 80% of China's oil imports. At its narrowest point, it is only 1.7 miles wide. A sunken ship here triggers a global recession. It is a paradise for pirates. Shallow waters, thousands of islands to hide in, billions of dollars floating by unarmed. But for Beijing, this strait is not an asset. It is a noose. Chinese leaders call it the Malacca Dilemma. In a war, the US Navy simply closes the gate. China goes dark. This is why China is building pipelines across Myanmar and Pakistan, desperately trying to bypass their own geography. We cross the Indian Ocean to number 8, a strait named by ancient sailors for the grief of those who drowned there. The Bab el-Mandeb, the Gate of Tears, the doorway to the Suez Canal. Here, a $30 drone launched by a militia can stop a $100 million ship. When this gate closes, ships must sail around the entire continent of Africa. Inflation spikes overnight. Western navies are burning million-dollar missiles to shoot down cheap drones. It is an unsustainable equation. The most powerful warships on Earth, trapped in a strait 19 miles wide. Geography is the great equalizer. We build systems to ignore nature, but nature always dictates the terms of engagement. Coming up, the canal that broke a continent, and the single most important oil valve in the world. We cross the Atlantic to number 7, an engineering miracle that is slowly dying of thirst. The Panama Canal, the only way to move a city block of steel over a mountain range. But this canal does not run on seawater. It runs on rain, and the rain has stopped. Low water means heavy ships scrape the bottom. To pass, they must dump 40% of their cargo. When the rain fails in Panama, grain rots in silos in Iowa. The supply chain is broken by weather. We return to the edge of Europe. Number 6, the only exit door for a superpower's navy, the Bosporus. The city of Istanbul splits the continent. It is beautiful, and it is a geopolitical cage. Russia's Black Sea Fleet is headquartered behind this door, but they do not hold the key. A 1936 treaty gives Turkey the legal power to close the strait to warships during conflict. Ankara decides who passes. Without Turkey's permission, the Russian Southern Fleet is just a coastal defense force, trapped in a bathtub. Now we enter the danger zone. Number 5, the single most valuable coordinate on the planet, the Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide. On one side, Oman. On the other, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran cannot win a naval war, so they built a strategy of swarm attacks, sea mines, and chaos. 1/5 of the world's oil passes here every day. If this strait closes, the global economy stops instantly. It doesn't take a nuclear weapon to close it. Just a few hundred floating mines, drifting in the current. From the oil valve, we move to the lifeline of Europe. Number 4. The ditch in the desert, the Suez Canal. It shortened the journey from Asia to Europe by 5,000 miles. It is irreplaceable, but we all saw what happens when a ship turns sideways. The Ever Given proved how fragile our systems are. For every day the canal is closed, $10 billion of trade evaporates. It is the most expensive traffic jam on Earth. We built a world that relies on perfect timing. But geography does not care about our schedules. We leave the trade routes. We enter the war room. Number 3. The frozen gate of the Atlantic. Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom. The GI-UK gap. The naval choke point of the Cold War. The seafloor here is wired with microphones. If a Russian nuclear submarine wants to hit America, it must pass this line. But the new Russian subs are quieter, deeper, and they are probing this line every single month. It's not just about missiles. The internet cables that connect Europe and America run through these waters. They are undefended. We fly east to the most contested water on Earth. Number 2. The place where China draws its line in the sand. Beijing claimed this sea. Then they dredged up sand and concrete to build unsinkable aircraft carriers. It is a fight for resources. 11 billion barrels of oil, 190 trillion cubic feet of gas, all under this water. But the real prize is depth. This is the only place deep enough for China to hide its nuclear submarines from America. Two superpowers operating fully armed in the same bathtub. One mistake here starts World War III. And finally, the center of the board. Number 1. The place where the 21st century will be decided. The Taiwan Strait. 110 miles of rough water separating a democracy from a dictatorship. This is not just land. It is the foundry of the digital age, the Silicon Shield. 92% of the world's most advanced microchips are made here. Without them, the modern world stops. Beijing has pledged to take it, but geography is the defender. The beaches are few, the cliffs are high, and the weather is an enemy. The strait is only calm enough for an invasion fleet 2 months a year. If China invades, these factories may be destroyed. A scorched earth policy to deny the prize. The loss of Taiwan's chips would trigger a $2 trillion global depression, bigger than the 2008 crash. But the map is not finished. While we watch Taiwan, the climate is creating a new battlefield. The Arctic. The ice is melting. And for the first time in history, a new ocean is opening. This route cuts the journey from China to Europe by 40%. It bypasses Malacca. It bypasses Suez. But this new ocean has a landlord. Russia controls the coastline. They are already arming the ice. 10 locations. 1 system. We have built a global machine that relies on these specific coordinates. We talk about strategy, tonnage, billions. But in the end, it is just people standing on steel decks, waiting for the order, watching the horizon, holding the line where the map narrows. We think we have conquered the Earth, but we simply learn to navigate its bottlenecks. Geography is not just scenery. It is the board on which the game is played. And the game never ends. The map of the 20th century was drawn by oil. The map of the 21st is drawn by batteries. We worry about ships, but China controls 90% of the processing for the minerals in your phone. You can bypass a strait, You cannot bypass the periodic table. This is the ultimate choke point. Above the oceans, a new battleground, the ultimate high ground that watches every ship, every tank, every move. In 1940, a fleet could hide in the fog. Today, radar satellites see through clouds, through rain, through night. If war starts, the first shot will not be fired at a ship. It will be fired at the sky. Blind the satellites, and the smart weapons become dumb. The modern military goes deaf and blind, and underneath the physical map lies the digital map, the cables, the servers, the code. A cyber attack on a port operating system can freeze global trade faster than any naval blockade. The valves of the Suez, the pumps of Panama, they are controlled by software, and software can be hacked. Geography also funnels people. The Darien Gap, the Mediterranean, where desperation meets the terrain. As the world warms, these human choke points will break. Walls cannot stop the tide of history. A century ago, strategists warned, whoever unites Europe and Asia controls the world. That is happening now. China is building a new empire of steel rails, trying to make the oceans and the American Navy irrelevant. But trains are fragile. One bomb on a track stops a line. The ocean heals itself instantly. So we return to the water. 70% of the planet, 90% of all trade. We optimized the world for efficiency. We removed all the slack. We built a glass cannon. You don't see the choke points. You only see the empty shelf. The gas price, the inflation. When the grain ships stop moving through the Bosporus, bread prices rise, and governments fall. These locations are not just trade routes, they are the tripwires for the end of the world. Diplomacy is just words. Geography is the reality that remains when the talking stops. 10 keys, 10 locks, the architecture of global power. For 70 years, one navy has held the keys, ensuring the oceans remain open for everyone. But that era is ending. The keys are being contested, the locks are being picked. The map is not static, it is alive. It is shifting under our feet. We can ignore the map. We can pretend the world is flat and borderless. But the map will not ignore us. The question is not if the gates will close. The question is, who will be holding the key when they do? This is the world we built. A world of narrow passages, an infinite risk. But geography has a new enemy. Speed. Hypersonic weapons that turn hours into minutes. When a missile flies at Mach 5, the distance between the Taiwan Strait and Guam evaporates. The map shrinks. We are handing the keys to algorithms, AI sentinels that will decide to close the gate before a human can blink. History is a graveyard of empires that thought they controlled the sea. The forts crumble. The water remains. We build canals. We dredge channels. We draw lines. But in the end, the ocean always wins. Land, water, data. The medium changes. The strategy remains the same. One planet, 10 choke points, 8 billion lives, all passing through the needle's eye. Subscribe and keep watching the map.